let's get started with creating the S3 bucket. Once you log in into your AWS account, you will be in the console home page where you can verify your username and account ID. You can verify the region in which you are operating in. Now, you will find a search bar on the top which you can use to navigate to AWS resources. Let's go to S3 now. Once you type S3, you can see a scalable storage in cloud S3. Click on the S3, you will be forwarded to S3 homepage. Once you are in S3 homepage, you can see Amazon S3, store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. Now, in order to store the data, in order to store the objects in AWS S3, you need to create a bucket first. Now, let's get with creating the bucket. You will find a button on the right side, create bucket. Click on the create bucket. You will be forwarded to create bucket configuration page. The first configuration you need to set is the name of the bucket. Now, there is one interesting thing about the name of the bucket. You have to choose the name which is unique across AWS accounts. Like if you see the region here, it is global, which signifies AWS S3 is a global service, not a regional service. Let us type a name like my demo S3 bucket. So if anyone with other AWS accounts is having the bucket name which matches with our name, the console will not allow us to create the bucket. Now let's choose the region. Hey, wait, here is an ambiguity. We have just discussed AWS is a global service, but we are choosing a region. So there is a catch. Even though S3 is a global service, there need to be a physical location where you store your objects, right? So that is what we are choosing here. We are choosing a physical location of AWS where we want to store our S3 bucket, although it's a global service only. Okay. If you have any existing bucket which you want to replicate the settings, you can choose it from here. So coming to the second configuration is object ownership. For example, you are having multiple users in your AWS account. If you enable access control list, it will say bucket owner preferred or object rider. For example, there are multiple users loading data into the bucket. So each user will have the access for the data which they have loaded into the bucket. Right now, we are having only one user, so we are disabling the access control list. The third configuration would be public access. AWS S3 is so powerful that it can host a static website on its own. So we can go with public access if you want to expose the objects in our bucket to the public, like sharing an image and sharing the S3 link with your family. You will be in some geographical location where you will be taking the pictures, loading it into S3 bucket and share the link with someone in another geographical location. They can use that link to access the photographs. As of now, we are blocking all public access. The next configuration would be bucket versioning. Bucket versioning in the sense the S3 will be storing different versions of your objects. For example, there is an Excel file which you are loading into your S3 bucket, which will be updated every month, and you want to store the history of different edits, wherein you can enable the bucket versioning and you can store the history of the object. As of now, we are disabling it. Coming to tags. Tags are very important when we come to AWS because it helps us to identify which resource we have created for what reason. Let's give a tag as key and value would be demo. Okay. Now coming to the next configuration, default encryption. Earlier we used to have a choice to whether choose server-side encryption or not, but S3 or AWS have now made it compulsory to have a server-side encryption. You can choose a server-side encryption S3 or KMS encryption, which is key management service. As of now, we are choosing SSS S3 encryption. Bucket key, we are disabling it. Let's go ahead and click on create bucket. So you can see the bucket, the name have already existed, so we need to choose something different. Let's go ahead and add sample demo s3 bucket. Let's try with this name. Yeah, even that exists. Bucket YouTube. Okay. And you can see we cannot use underscore, which is an invalid character, and uppercase. Now we are fine. Let's create the bucket. You can see the bucket is getting created. Therefore, we have successfully created the S3 bucket name sample demo S3 bucket YouTube. You can see the region here. It's US West, which is origin region. With this, we have completed our task. Thank you.